There are so many actors that we can find in international relations. They are not just only in form of state, but also have another form, and it's called non-state actor. In this video, we will going to explain about one of the non-state actors that is called global social movement. Specifically, we will talking about anti-nuclear movement.
Regarding to the book from Robin Cohen, global social movements are a type of social group action which requires a social or political change. They can divide it into formal and informal form, and also have the connection to another organizations or movement in other countries. GSM has become a strong actor in global governance because of their power to influence the state decisions. They cannot force the country. Instead, they can influence them. GSM can be a social movement that supports or opposes the policy or social change. It depends on the purpose of that movement. Wilson, in 1973, said that GSM has four kinds of social movement, which are 1. Alternative movement. This movement which aims to change a particular action of individuals in society. It is usually can be a socialization or campaign with the target of direct individuals. For example, the socializations above the dangers of AIDS. 2. Redemptive movement is a kind of social movement that has an interest to want a change, but does not only include a certain change, also a change that is overall for an individual. This movement is usually can be in religious movement. 3. Reformative movement is a kind of social movement that want to change people's view on a certain issues in society. For example, LGBT legalization movement. 4. Transformative movement is a kind of social movement that has the goal to change the society as a whole. For example, a social movement that want to change the mindset of people about ideology. So, why we as an international relations students learn about this movement? And what is the correlation between them? The correlation between GSM and IR is when the IR began to build the transnational relations of advocacy groups like NGO, mass media, religious group, diaspora, and the chapter, which campaign for domestic issues but establish cross-country networks with studies of social movements and advocacy networks. And the movements can influence each other, also give influences to many aspects at country and abroad. Not just only that, they are also have the correlation because every movement carried out by this group affect various parties and national borders by framing domestic issues that are fought for into international norms and also encouraging countries or international relations to achieve their interests.
After we know about what the global social movement is and what is the correlation between IR, now we are going to talking deeply about one issue of the social movement, which is anti-nuclear movement. Anti-nuclear movement is a social movement that opposes various nuclear technologies. They separated into direct action groups, environmental movement, and professional organizations at local, national, or international level. Several of them that had done their movement are Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, 350.org from Bill McBain, Green New Deal Movement from Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, Sierra Club, Friends of the Earth, Greenpeace, and etc. This movement was born from the awareness about the damage of using nuclear for the environment and human life. They oppose it because nuclear can pollute the environment through improper waste storage like radioactive pollutions or operational effects such as thermal pollutions that can give a long-term effect and damage huge of people around the world. That is why this movement opposes all forms of nuclear technologies. The background from all this movement will begin with the nuclear test that America, Canada, and Great Britain had developed called Manhattan Project in 1939. This project did two nuclear experiments. The first experiment took place in New Mexico called Trinity Test. The second experiment took place in Bikini Bottle, Pacific Ocean, called Crossroad Operation. One Japan fisherman got killed because of the radioactive pollutions from the Crossroad test. This case also being a background from the first anti-nuclear movement in Japan 1954. Japan as the only nation in the world that had experienced about the horror of atomic weaponry at Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. Because of this accident, the government initially suppressed public debate on the topic, and the post-war-occupation authorities temporarily banned research on nuclear power. There was a lag between the bombing and the start of broader anti-nuclear movement, which began in 1950 as a result of widespread anger over the deadly exposure of Japanese fishermen to radioactive fallout. In March 1954, radioactive fallout from hydrogen bomb tests in the Marshall Islands exposed 23 crewmen on board the fishing boat Lucky Dragon No. 5 to high doses of radiations. The tsunami appealed for the prohibition of atomic and hydrogen bombs, which garnered more than 30 million signatures.
Anti-nuclear movement spreads almost all around the world and all the continents, such as America, Asia, and Australia. These movements are a proof that people are aware of the impact that nuclear has. The biggest anti-nuclear movement occurred in the United States in 1982. Why called the biggest? It's because this demonstration was attended by more than 10 million of people. This movement was intended to show resistance to nuclear weapons and to stop the arms race on Cold War, which was this movement to continue from the previous movement that occurred in Washington, D.C., U.S. at 1979. The latest movement occurred in Japan, 2011. This movement appeared from the public necessity of a change to an explosion of a nuclear power plant, as has happened before at Fukushima City that causes fatalities because of the explosion and radiation. Not only that, the public is also worried that this might damage the environment. This movement is attended by 10 million of people and bring 3 points. These 3 points are 1. Minimize the damage because of the atom to public health and its responsibility is clarified. 2. Nuclear power transition to renewable energy that is environmentally friendly. 3. Socialization to public. As an international organization, United Nations really plays an important role to solve this problem. Regarding to one of UN's goals is about maintaining the world peace and security. In 1st July 1968, United Nations did first voting in order to make agreement about the using of nuclear energy. This agreement, also known as Non-Proliferation Treaty, Ireland as the pioneer of this agreement and continued by Finland throughout the United Nations. 187 subordinate countries ratified this agreement. Unfortunately, Israel, one of the countries that has nuclear weapons, did not attend it and ratify this agreement. In 11 May 1995 in New York, more than 170 countries ratified it. This agreement denied any developing, transferring, receiving, using, and signatories' power.
In banning something, the government has certainly examined the consequences that will result from using of weapons, in case nuclear weapons, can be seen from various movements that oppose the use of those weapons. Even movements occur on international scale that occur in various countries in the world. This movement occurs because of various damage caused by these nuclear weapons. As we know, bombs in city of Nagasaki and Hiroshima in Japan that destroyed both cities and killed many lives. Nuclears are weapons that have powerful destructive powers that can destroy a city and even a country. Nuclear weapons can provide facilities such as nuclear power plants and on another side become very dangerous weapons, bearing in mind the enormous impact of nuclear weapons if owned by a large influenced country.
Then, conclusion, this correlation of the global social movement with the IR concept is because every movement it carries has always given effect or impact to the international world. GSM can be used as a tool to achieve the interests of a person, a group, or several groups. This is a peaceful method or a dilemma carried or without using physical force to achieve their desire. A preventive measure is taken to prevent the misuse of this nuclear weapon in the future. Not only about the nuclear weapons, this GSM can also be done to overcome all the problems that seem to be something that can be a threat.